everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you about the new moon on August 18, 2020, and this is for Virgo natives or Virgo rising. And let's just jump right in. So as you guys can see, you have the sun and moon in your 12th house, and what this is meaning is that this is the month before your new moon, which is going to happen in September. And so right now you are at that balsamic period. So the balsamic period is like the period right before a new moon when there is no moon in the sky. Okay, I think I'm just confusing you by saying that, but what it really means is it's kind of like being pregnant. You can't necessarily do much until that baby is born, so you just have to wait. And because, you know, for the most part, in a natural birth, you can't tell the baby, okay, I want you to be born right now. This is a time where you're hanging back, you are planning, maybe you're doing the baby room, maybe you're doing all of those things, except you can't play with the baby yet. So that's the energy for this month. This is more of a planning before you launch. If you're thinking about launching something over the next 4 weeks, maybe do a soft launch, because as you put out energy, it's very hard for you to be noticed or seen or really receive the amount of attention for what it is that you're doing that you want. This is an energy about working behind the scenes, and it is also, though, it's about clearing out whatever's been holding you back. So you can look back at the last 12 months and say to yourself, okay, what's the habits that I have, or what's the routines I have that are really stopping me? You know, this is some reason... this is a reason that I really focus on the feng shui too, because while astrology gives us that GPS and tells us where we're heading, the feng shui is what sets up our environment for success. Because if we have the things in our life that supports our success, we're more likely to get there. And so this is a great month to be working on that. So generally a new moon is not isolated, and this one is just chock full of aspects. So let's just start going one by one. First of all, it's sun, moon, and conjunct that Mercury. And when Mercury, and I guess I should say it first, Mercury is your thinking process. It is how you speak to yourself. It's how you express yourself in the world. And so when you are looking at Mercury, you are thinking about, all right, maybe you're writing a blog, or maybe you're doing a report for work, or maybe you just have to tell someone that you love them. But all of this right now, that Mercury is so close to the sun that it is obliterated by the sun. We call this combust. It is because the sun is so bright that we cannot see the planet Mercury right now. And this means that it's going to be very difficult for you to accept advice from other people, to really hear when things when somebody else is telling you they love you or that they want to leave or any of these things. So it's difficult for you to hear outside information. Now, that said, this is in your psychic house. This is in your house of intuition. And so you are hearing your higher self very clearly, and that's wonderful. You are hearing things from the universe, and that's good. But these things could be less about your relationship or your job and more about your general path. And so recognize that it's going to take some concentration to hear the people in your life. Another aspect you're doing is that trine to the south node. And that's a very interesting energy, because a trine we usually like to see because it's very, very easy. But this is to the south node, and the south node is about going backwards. It is where we go when we're afraid, where we don't want to face something. So we say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do what I've always done. I'm going to do things I've done before. And those things didn't work in the past, and they're not going to work in the future. And yet we feel compelled to do them. And Virgo natives feel this compulsion because it is also doing a trine from that Mars in Aries. So you're doing a grand trine. Now, again, you would hear me say grand trine and you would be celebrating normally, but unfortunately, because of that south node, what happens is that you feel maybe some stress, and so you want to take some action. And yet that action The only thing you can think of is something you've done in the past, and then you feel a little bit like this isn't working, I got to take some action, and then you take another action from the past, and so forth. And you get on this little kind of hamster wheel of just repeating the same behavior, same behavior. So how do we get out of this? Well, we do it by the North Node. That North Node is making a sextile to the Sun Moon, and that is your point of jumping off. But it's a sextile, and a sextile means that until you take an action and until you look at it mindfully, that little hamster wheel, that grand trine, is just going to rule. So this North Node says that if you are focused on, let's say, your career, because it's in the 10th house, your reputation, how you deal with time, how you are taking responsibility in different areas of your life, when you do that, then success happens. And if this wasn't enough, there is an inconjunct from Saturn to that new moon, and it's exact. And now Saturn is the place in your life where you feel like you're not good enough, where you feel like, oh, something's going to be a lot of work. I don't know that I'm an expert at this. I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to climb that mountain. So all of these ideas are going through your head, and that is really chipping away at your confidence. And so when you're dealing with the Saturn, you have to make adjustments. And that might say, all right, I'm not an expert at this aspect of my life, but what can I do that's similar that still gives me great results? And so that's where you're going to be using that inconjunct. Well, there's one more thing here, and that is there is a configuration with two sesquines and that inconjunct. Now, I don't usually talk about sesquines because it's a minor aspect, and so minor aspects are really hard to use. They take a lot of concentration, but this is two sesquines with an inconjunct, so it forms a configuration, and so you will have access to this energy. So what is a sesquine? A sesquine is a 105 aspect, and it is about being able to do something, but your tools that you have are very dull. That is like if you were cooking and you had to slice some tomatoes, but you have a very dull knife. If you're not very mindful of how you're slicing, and if you're not very careful, you're going to squish the tomato. And so it takes this mindfulness. Now, where is this configuration? Well, we already talked about it's Sun, Moon, in conjunct that Saturn, but Saturn makes a sesquine to Uranus, and then Uranus makes a sesquine to that Sun, Moon. And so therefore we form this kind of strange looking triangle. So what we have here is the inconjunct makes you feel like you want to hide, and the sesquines give you a point of hidden treasure. So first, that Saturn is causing you possibly to feel like you're not creative, that nobody's loyal in your life, that you have no fun, that there's no romance in your life, that your kids don't like you, all of these things, all this negativity on you. But that Uranus has a whole different story for you. That Uranus is your hidden treasure. That Uranus is how you can learn something new, how you can do some new spiritual ritual, that you can connect with people who live far away, that you have new ideas and new innovations and new things that you can do. So everything, like every time you go out on YouTube and you hear one even sentence of something that somebody says and it just opens up a whole world, that's that Uranus. Or you open a book and you get an idea. It's this idea that there is this knowledge out there that can change everything for you. And so that is that hidden treasure that you want to access. And it is both in knowledge, but it's also in your spirituality. And so how can you change up how you do things spiritually to feel like you have a deeper connection with the universe and your higher self? Maybe it's candles or crystals. Maybe you have all these things, but you don't usually use them. This is the time to pull those out and start using them in a new way. All right, let's go around the wheel and look at the different areas of your life, starting with relationship, where you do have that continual full fifth house, which does say that love relationships are quite possible. These aren't necessarily the happiest planets. I mean, Jupiter is, but Pluto, Saturn can be a little overwhelming, but the energy is there, so you can access it. When we look across, you're going to see that part of fortune. That's a total mistake on my part. I didn't mean to put that there. Part of fortune is a mathematical calculation of sun, moon, and ascendant, and we don't have a valid ascendant here, so you have to just ignore that, sorry. But you do have the Neptune there, and while Neptune can rule things like, fear and concern and all of these things, it also can dissolve boundaries. It can help you make a deeper connection to someone that you care about. And so that energy is very good for relationships. But overall, this month in relationships, we don't see a connection between the Mercury and the Neptune. They're just a little bit far apart. And so it's a little bit hit or miss this time. That means that maybe your schedules are off, or that you're not quite saying the things that each other wants to hear. And so you just have to wait for this energy to line up a little bit better, which it will. Right now, it's not the big focus for your life. We have some interesting energy too at home, because you've got Mercury rising in your chart, and rising planets usually are extremely powerful, but remember, it's combust the sun. It can't be seen. And so you feel like something big is going on in your home and with your family, but it's not actually manifesting yet. And this is reiterated by the fact that there is no aspect right now between the Mercury and the Jupiter. And so right now, it's just some rumblings. Your intuition is going to tell you stuff is happening, but it's not yet going to manifest. This would include getting a move, or buying a house, or finding the right place to live, or things like that. You're going to just need a little bit more patience on this, because it's not quite here yet. Now, normally for Virgos, I have nothing but good news about your career, because the ruler is the same planet. But in this case, again, it's that Mercury, and the Mercury is combust. So that means that you just want to kind of sit in the background and just toil away as you've been doing, work on projects at home or work on projects behind the scene. It's going to be hard for you to get recognition this time. It's going to be hard to be seen for a raise or a promotion or things like that. This energy will line up better very soon. Mercury's a very fast planet, so you're not going to have problems there. But right now, you just want to finish up projects. Remember, this is that month where you want to finish up, because for your lunar year, this is the last month. So focus on what can you let go of, what can you clear out, and what can you finish up. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling Venus right from that 11th house. That means probably most of the money is going to come from a regular employer or a regular gig. If you're a contract worker, it would be getting a contract from the same company versus going out to a new company. It does say that money is coming in because it is Venus and it is in a house of money, so that's fantastic. But we will talk about whether you are making more money than usual in a second. But let's go to your investments. That is money derived from your business, from affiliate marketing, royalties, residuals, things like that. You have Chiron Mars there. That is good news. The Chiron helps you heal issues that you have with money, that you have with investments and things like that. And that is, you could spend 5 minutes a day working on your investments, working on your retirement planning and things like that. And in a month, you would be so much farther ahead. But also the Mars is there, and the Mars is going to be there for the rest of the year. This means you're going to see opportunities and be able to take hold of those opportunities. You're going to be able to take action on those opportunities. That's for starting a business or, again, finding passive income sources. So that's all good. But when we do look at how much money you're going to make this time, while you are making some money because the Mars is there, it does say it's not more than usual because we don't have an aspect between the Venus and the Mars. That will change over time, but right now they're not lining up. And so you're going to make perhaps about what you've made before, or you're doing more outgo than income. Maybe you're investing in your business, or you are putting money into some other investment and it hasn't paid off yet. Now, as promised, here is that money derived from career, which is that Venus. And this is where normally, I would be looking at it and saying Venus is not making an aspect with the moon, so you're not making as much. But the ruler of the second is in the 11th house, and that is a really good sign for making money. So you do have the money there. What can be happening is more is going out, or that you weren't making much money last month. And so now that you're making a little bit more more money, you're just paying off things for last month. So it's difficult to accumulate or put any money aside. That said, you still do have a connection with that spiritual house, the 12th house, and that is do the feng shui cures, light candles, say prayers, do that because there is a spiritual connection directly tied to your money this time, so you want to work that. That is, if you can do some of these things, then you are putting yourself in the same vibration of money and you will see money opportunities more clearly. And that could be anything from getting more hours to actually seeing a job that you might be getting in the next month. Okay, I almost forgot to tell you about your windfalls. Now, you have Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in your house of windfalls, risk-taking, high-risk investments, and things like that. So there is such a strong desire to do these things, and you may have more opportunities than usual. So you are seeing all of these different directions you could go. But I do want to caution you, as I have in the past, unless the energy is lining up, it is risky, super risky, more risky than usual. And here we don't have the energy lining up because what we need is a relationship between Venus and Saturn, and that's not happening. So that is going to happen in the future, but right now you're still in investigation mode, maybe negotiating contracts, maybe pulling together the resources, maybe seeing if you could get other people to invest, and that way you're not using all your own money. So look at doing those things, but it's not time yet to sign the deal. It's not time yet that you are going to be receiving money from this source. So you just do the preparation and continue with that. This energy will line up soon. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned. Lou Rue wants to say hi.